isn't this just a bit of NA Dota? Look, everyone on time, in the lobby, ready to go. No breaks between games. That's not North America. I don't know what I'm talking about. Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Blue Pikachu, VTJ Storm, MRP Franz here to chronicle the action for you as VTJ Storm, well, put it bluntly, they took a 23-minute victory in Game 1.
Yeah, Game 2 started so quickly I didn't even get to leave my chair yet. But, you see the Wisp, you see the Brewmaster bans again. And I think one of the problems with Blue Pikachu's game, aside from draft, was that as soon as the Razor fell behind, he no longer had a game. I think he was like third bottom net worth at 15 minutes. And, that's not the position you want your carry to be. And VTJ Storm, they probably recognize that because, they started moving around the map a lot.
Yes.
Not that they don't do that, but, they were doing it a lot faster than you would normally see a team move around to take objectives. And that's because, their cores are super ahead. They won their top lane with the Luna, and, Snake King, he died a lot bottom, but Snake King got what he wanted. He got a pretty quick level 5. And then once he was level 7, he pretty much made his team extremely difficult to kill, especially because Blue Pikachu's lineup, it didn't have an easy way to initiate. They didn't have any, clear heroes that could farm their way back into the game. Right. And as a result, Blue Pikachu, their game plan seemed like they just had to keep running and keep responding to VTJ Storm's movements. But, I feel like they were just too behind at some point to make that happen.
Yeah, it almost felt calculated to a point from Snake King, the first few deaths, as the third attempt they made to go for him under tower when Flea TP'd bottom really felt like when the early game turned extremely heavily in the Radiant's favor. They were already winning the mid lane and the top lane, and bottom lane was kind of the only area where Blue Pikachu was getting farm on the Doom and the Tiny, and then they turned and killed them both there, and it seemed to just unravel for Blue Pikachu from there. But either way, very good early game for VTJ Storm, as you mentioned. They were able to quickly translate it into aggression and then map control shortly thereafter. Wyvern does slip through the first phase of bans in this one. Going to be picked up by VTJ Storm, and Blue Pikachu going to switch paces here. Switch the pace with the BH opening.
So Wyvern is one of the best defensive supports in the game right now. Winter's Curse, super effective at counter-initiating, especially when the enemy team has any amount of physical damage, which is basically like every lineup in the game right now. Cold Embrace is also super good as well. But the one thing that I think makes Wyvern really viable this patch is that with her Q, I forgot what it's called, Arctic Burn, you have a lot of kill potential at level 1. That spell is pretty nuts. In the laning phase, you put it on 1 or 2 heroes, and suddenly they're in like escape mode, and they can't run because they're being slowed. And then you have this Earth Spirit to help kind of finish off any kills. And again, going back to last game, I think there's like a huge emphasis this patch on having lanes that actually kill, because last patch it was super easy to deny everything from the offlaner, not literally deny creeps, but you had 2 pulls that were readily available for you. The EXP range wasn't as huge as it is now, and as a result, your most viable option to win the lane is just to kill them as much as possible. And so both teams I feel like both teams kind of recognize that. BH, Jakiro, they're super strong in lane, same with Wyvern and Earth Spirit.
Jakiro, a decent way to deal with the Wyvern as well. A lot of magic damage to drop, kind of similar to the A in that fashion. But as you mentioned, sort of a lane enforcer early on, helps you with the structural damage and just pushing in general. Helps you Roche to some extent, at least take less damage from Roche. Good all-around support, and kind of one that can hold down the safe lane while Bounty Hunter tries to gain advantages elsewhere on the map. It is going to be a Flea Earth Spirit, something to take note of as well. This is one of his signature heroes, at least in my opinion. They are going to ban away 747's Puck in the mid lane for Blue Pikachu, as Death Prophet and Clockwork going to be booted from the pool by VTJ.
I feel like I feel like Jakiro is sort of a lane enforcer. He's kind of like a flying version of Ogre. He's super tough to kill. He's really good at trading hits. And the plus side about Jakiro is, Ice Path can be super good, and Liquid Fire's sort of one of the few abilities that a support has that actually allows them to be able to pressure towers.
Hold on, man. You just blew my mind, okay? You just blew my mind. Jakiro has 2 heads. He's blue and red. He does fiery shit. And he also has some blue magic shit. He's literally flying ogre. Wow, man, you're Ice Frog. I mean, Franz Ice Frog confirmed. I don't know what else to say.
I didn't mean to leak that. Sorry, forget I said that.
Medusa ban and the Brood once again removed from Blue Pikachu. So really showing some respect there against VGJ Storm.
I think the one glaring weakness with Blue Pikachu's opener right now is that they have like no catch. And Ice Path kind of qualifies as a disable, but it's not something you can use to initiate. Whereas VGJ Storm, they have Earth Spirit, who's like a great support initiator, or relatively a great support initiator, and then Wyvern's like one of the best counter initiators. So like coming out of the gate with just looking at the support duos, I would give the advantage in team fights to VGJ Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So Blue Pikachu, they have to solve those issues with their cores, but at the same time they also need their cores to have a lot of damage. So that's quite a tall order from Blue Pikachu. So you can see that VGJ Storm, they're banning out heroes like Death Prophet and Dusa, these super annoying team fight heroes. And Death Prophet's actually excellent with Bounty Hunter because Bounty Hunter wants to set up kills. Death Prophet's a good mid laner, and then Bounty Hunter excels in games where his team's actually in a position to keep running at the enemy team.
Right.
So VGJ Storm, they're gonna probably pick around that. They're gonna pick super strong lanes that Bounty Hunter can't mess with. So heroes like Mirana that got taken, or heroes, super tanky heroes in general, like maybe Tide Hunter. Maybe we'll see Tide Hunter. Life Stealers also works for that as well.
Yeah, Life Stealer came to mind immediately, as you said. Lanes that are not susceptible to the Bounty Hunter. Also combos fairly well with the Earth Spirit. Can be like kind of a poor man's vessel into the fight before any sort of initiation tool is picked up. Blue Pikachu going to make their way back for the Mirana here. I guess considering the outcome of that mid lane in game one, VGJ Storm not putting all that much emphasis on picking 747's hero just yet.
I mean, VGJ Storm, they have to be super confident with this Life Stealer because I keep seeing them pick it, and also they're picking it relatively early into the pick phase. Right? They haven't seen the enemy carry yet. They haven't seen the enemy offlaner yet, and so they're just picking this Life Stealer under the assumption that they'll just make it work. But there's a lot of counter picks available.
Turn your armlet off in the jungle. Get shuriken tossed from Shadow Dance. Feels bad, man.
Not that kind of counter. Well, first of all, I feel like you shouldn't be jungling with 1 HP.
Well,
on Life Stealer.
That's because you're not 4K, bro.
Sorry. I won't lie, I've done it before.
Juggernaut going to come out here, and in some respects, Life Stealer pretty good to have up against Juggernaut. You do kind of want physical burst to bring him down, even while spinning. But just the overall kind of... He seems like, to me, the catch-all as far as safe laners go. Gives you a bit of everything. Bit of team fight, bit of early lane kill potential, good farming ability, and some sustain from the healing ward as well can allow you to hit structures in Roche.
I feel like it's a pretty neutral matchup, Jug versus Life Stealer. It more comes down to sort of the general composition of the lineup. So VGJ Storm, they see the Juggernaut, they see the Mirana, they're probably going to want to pick their offlaner here. Some hero that, does well against Juggernaut, doesn't really care about dying. I don't know if I should say that, because he will die in this lane, I think, if the Bounty Hunter, Jakiro, and Juggernaut run at him. So the cool thing about starting with a TP is if you die, you just come back to the lane. Spirit. And you also give less gold at level 1. And then Juggernaut starts running out of mana, and he can't really kill you anymore.
So the Storm Spirit for 747 going to come out here. Certainly a rather scary proposition to be faced with if you're a Blue Pikachu side. He is one of the more susceptible mid laners, though, as far as ganks in the early game go.
You think so? He's got super high armor. He also trades hits with the Bounty Hunter. Like, the Bounty Hunter, you don't want to mess with a Storm Spirit, especially if you have like an Earth Spirit or a Wyvern waiting in the trees. The moment that Bounty Hunter hits that Storm Spirit, if Storm Spirit is level 2 or above, you just turn around and hit him, and then the Earth Spirit rolls in, and then you're a dead Bounty Hunter. And Storm Spirit actually has like really high armor for a ranged mid hero. I think he's got like 5 or 4. So it's also just a super good Storm game in general. You know, you look at Blue Pikachu's lineup. There's no way they're catching this Storm, right? Like Ice
Yeah.
Path. You know, if
Yeah.
Storm gets hit by an Ice Path, he's got to be doing something wrong. I think. Same with the Arrow.
Yeah.
And I think they just recognized that there was that weakness in Blue Pikachu's lineup.
Yeah, perhaps Blue Pikachu even have some recognition of that as well, as they banned out the puck previous phase. But yeah, a lot of synergy with the Life Sealer. You're suggesting he's more than capable of enough of surviving the harassment and the bounty early on, especially if they bring the Winter Wyvern into the fray, and thereafter very little to lock him down. You also mentioned kind of building lineups around the bounty hunter that take advantage of the track movement speed and being able to chain one pick into the next pick, and perhaps structures thereafter. But it's definitely Storm Spirit, Earth Spirit, Winter Wyvern. Good counter initiation, good escape from these engagements if they ever seem to go awry for VTJ Storm. So a lot of reasons to justify this Storm pick. Legion Commander ban comes out from Blue Pikachu as Stand King, while Snake King actually wearing the crown in this one. Going to ban out the Tide.
So similar to last game, I think VTJ Storm, their win condition is a lot more realistic than Blue Pikachu. You know, Blue Pikachu, in order for them to win this game, they have to keep going for track kills, and then they have to sort of just snowball incredibly hard. So the Storm and the Life Stealer are never in a position to take any team fights. Whereas VTJ Storm, you know, they're gonna want to win at least one of their lanes, and then the Life Stealer, the Earth Spirit, the Wyvern, they're gonna move around and go for kills while the Storm forms as Kaya and becomes OP.
Is it that good? Is it really as good as Reddit suggests? I don't believe it quite yet.
So the thing about Kaya is everything about it helps Storm Spirit.
Right.
And normally Storm Spirit's like a super slow hero in the early game. And I'm not saying that the Kaya makes him like incredibly fast. It just, you know, it gives Storm Spirit a little bit more versatility.
Mm-hmm.
From like the 8-minute mark or the 10-minute mark, wherever you pick up the Kaya. And then instead of, you know, Storm being this hero that's just stuck farming and split pushing until the Bloodstone, you know, he's actually able to help his team, which I think makes him super good. And not to mention that Kaya in the mid-late game, it seems to be affecting his mana consumption more than advertised, you know?
Mm-hmm. Doom going to round out the lineup once again for Blue Pikachu, and they don't deviate too far from their first lineup. Stand King, Snake King, Sand King. Wow, that was a tough one. Going to round out the lineup for VTJ Storm. If they leave him 1v1 against the Juggernaut, pretty darn good matchup for the Sand King. So likely that's going to at least, you know, attract the attention of Save, who in general is a very immobile hero on the Jakiro regardless. But we'll see what Snake King can muster out of this lane. Everyone looking pretty fly on the Radiant side, except for Ritsu, who apparently doesn't buy cosmetics.
There's not a lot of oh no Ritsu's on a different account.
Oh, he's on a Smurf.
You can see stand-in .Ritsu too.
There it is.
Dang Smurfers.
Well, he's got 2 phone numbers, guys. We know that much.
I've got 3. I use my parents' phone numbers, but enough of that. So I feel like the Doom pick was sort of in response to the Storm, right? They wanted sort of just this hard press R button on the Storm, and you know, the Storm's team fight's gone. But I feel like they're going to run into the same problem as last game. You know, the Doom's super cooldown dependent, and the Doom doesn't really help you start fights, you know? Like, Blue Pikachu, they have no initiation right now. Literally no initiation. So, you know, VTJ Storm, if I were them in their shoes, I would just, you know, try to get as much out of the laning phase as possible, and then you pretty much win the game from there as long as you don't feed, right? And then, you know, they picked this. I think this last pick, Sand King, was to give Snake King sort of an extra initiator because they really only had 1 stun coming out of the Earth Spirit. So they gave Snake King this hero that actually survives a lane against the Juggernaut.
Back to the days of old. Always going to bode well for you when you have more stuns in Dota. Feels like.
Yeah.
Alrin getting a lot of information here in the bottom lane.
They must have seen him, right?
Yep, he got dusted, and now they have the rolling boulder as well. Actually going to whiff on it is Flea. We'll jump forward into the dual breath. Maybe the Earth Spirit in a little bit of trouble now. Blade Fury going to fly. Arrow connects as well, and Flea. It was all bait in the end
They
Blue
counter-baited
Pikachu.
themselves. You know, they sat there because they knew the bounty hunter wanted to reapply his invis in that corner. But they
Next
baited
level.
themselves apparently. Yeah, it was pretty next level. It was a pretty cool play actually. I bet Stanking came up with that. Stanking's a dirty bounty hunter spammer.
The Oracle himself would concoct a strategy like that. I definitely believe it. 3 bounty runes go the way of the Radiant, so it looks like we're going to take this to a deciding game 3 with Vici up 1-0. 747.
Yeah, Storm's got 6 base armor. Allsfrog.
Wow.
He's perfectly fine against Moran on the bounty hunter. In fact, you know, the way that VGJ Storm have their lane set up, they're gonna probably force the bottom lane.
Stanking. Pincered here and rolling boulder forward though. Now Alren, the one in trouble. Dust is up on Flea and not even needed as they'll take him out during the fade time. Save gonna throw another dual breath. That'll mean he's pretty much has 1 spell for the remainder of this lane unless he brings out some more fairies out of clarity or something of the sort. They do have a mango on the Juggernaut if desperate times call for desperate measures. Already villain kind of holding his own in this mid lane compared to the first game as Alren will join him.
Arrow.
Oh, the arrow does connect and what do you know? I told you Storm can die in this lane.
Look, the Storm was sitting at half HP. He saw the bounty hunter bot, right?
Yeah.
So then, in his mind, he was like, "There's no way the bounty hunter is just gonna dang walk to the mid lane after respawning." But that's exactly what happened. And also, there's no one to help him as well. Not that you're wrong.
You know, you gotta give me one every now and then.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying,
Storm's
if there's any time to kill a Storm, it's in the laning phase, isn't it?
Storm's not the easiest kill. Like think of it like if it was a Zeus, like the Zeus would have died like 3 times by now.
Yeah. Leap forward, looking for the arrow, doesn't find it this time, but one more right click is there. And a much different story in this mid lane as the Storm goes down. Stanking top lane in trouble. He's gonna get chain lightninged up, but does make it to the high ground. Now open wounds coming through, looking for the TP out. Splinter blast! Oh, that base attack time on the lifestealer just not enough to net him a kill. A lot of raw HP on that Doom, and he in fact TPs to Shrine, so gonna make his way back to lane, salving up.
Base attack time. Storm's in a lot of trouble now. He's level 2. Marana's almost level 4, so probably not the way you wanted this lane to start, but Storm's like a hero that's quite capable of catching up. The only problem is he's playing the rest of his laning phase from behind. He has to be worried about the bounty hunter now, and it feels like all of those deaths were preventable. I think if VGJ Storm just... Oh, Storm going down again?
Well, Wyvern TPing in this time, and they want to make a turn as Flea was nearby as well. Radiant Vision probably clipped the Earth Spirit as it is daytime. Yeah, and it looks like perhaps they were weary of it. Flea had a dust on his person, but they were unable to find the opening. Now save, bot lane. Perhaps thinking of dual breathing Snake King here as the Earth Spirit rotates in. Looks like Alren may have scouted him. And wrapping up the stairs. Save, looking for the dual breath through the trees, perhaps. This is a difficult kill. They're going to have to block the rolling boulder. Dust now finds the BH as they realize that Jakiro was floating around in the area. But the dual breath slowing them down. Now Snake King forced to burrow down to the low ground. Stan King rotating in. Doesn't have the cold embrace, however. And looks like all will survive. No casualties in the bot lane.
So I feel like... Well, first of all, you know, Sneaking, he gets away from that, so he's in a good position because he used up all the mana. Or he used up a bit of mana from the Jug and the Jakiro. But I feel like it was mid lane.
Okay.
Your hopes?
So, Villain. 3 deaths on 747. Still losing in CS, but gotta feel a lot better about this lane. Boulder Smash coming through. Orb of Venom's there as well. The tick. Rolling Boulder will finish off the Marana. As Flea, given the opportunity, will not miss again. And does find the cleanup kill on the Marana. That's a nice bit of experience for the Earth Spirit on the back end. 250 to be exact. gonna go his way. Now Stanking gonna queue up the Arctic Burn, bottom lane. Snaking nearby does not have mana for a burrow. Has 3 stick charges, however, and is enclosing on the amount of mana he needs. Now Boulder Smash gonna fly through, dodged by the Blade Fury, and the Healing Ward is there as well. Save, though, still looking in trouble. Rolling Boulder finishes him off, and Scrooge McDuck cannot press forward. Now mid lane, Ryoya 747 in trouble once again, looking for the turn on the Mirana, can't get it. Kills off the bounty though with the static remnant. Stanking looking for the return kill. Her Splinter Blast does not connect on Villain, and Villain has the Mirana already 4-1-1 in this affair. Looking a lot better than he did game 1. Gonna ferry out the bottle, salve as well. He's already got the Aquila on his person and gold for boots if he so desires as well.
I feel like VCG Storm, if they wanted to secure their mid lane, they couldn't have sent their supports bottom. But I feel like at the same time, you know, they wanted to kill that bounty hunter, or they wanted to kill the Jakiro at level 1. Unfortunately, I feel like it hurt them a bit because, you know, the Earth Spirit and the Wyvern, they weren't immediately available to help the Storm. So this is why we're seeing the situation that's going on right now. But funny enough, you know, Ryoya's actually got more or less hits in the mid lane.
Yeah. Mentioned that earlier, that he is still winning in CS despite 3 deaths, but certainly as you look overall farm, he is quite a bit behind the Mirana, who leads the way as far as net worth goes. Now Snaking gonna rotate into the mid lane. Arrow is gonna land onto the Storm Spirit, and that's gonna mean for now the bounty hunter survives. Second star does not bounce towards the Storm Spirit, but he is right into the arms of Alrin. Now Snaking perhaps in trouble as well. Does have a burrow, has a point in the sandstorm, but they even rotate in the Juggernaut as all 5 heroes at a point, or 4 heroes I should say. That was bad math. Bottom lane.
Yep. The Doom died top as well to the Life Stealer Wyvern. Like, had a bit of a cough there, but you know, Storm Spirit's in like catch-up mode now, so you know he's level 5, Mirana's level 7. He's probably gonna want to jungle. You know, Stanking just stacked a camp for him. It's not safe for him to be in the mid lane right now if any of BP's heroes are missing, as well as the Mirana. So he's gonna want to at least hit level 6, which he will soon. And then from then on, he's probably going to continue jungling for a little bit. And then, you know, Lifestealer, Ritsu's going to be the one making space for the Storm to catch up back into this game. And then as soon as Storm... I'm willing to bet as soon as Storm gets, like, the Kaya, and then maybe, like, one of the Bloodstone components, he's going to go and do an Invest Bomb with the Lifestealer.
Only by coincidence will they start winning the game when the Kaya comes out. I'm just going to... Disclaimer. So that... You know, not every pub star builds their first item Kaya on the Storm, but Stanking gonna find some space mid lane. Wyvern, meanwhile, stalking the Lifestealer top lane as Ritsu playing rather tentatively under his tower here. Seems to know what's up. Juggernaut not showing his face bot lane. Snaking finds himself a little bit of time. He's soon to eclipse that level 6 milestone, and now infested up is Flea's Earth Spirit. Top lane, Omni Slash at the ready. Gonna get the silence off by Flea, and he looks to maybe just accept his fate here, roll away, and now coming out is Ritsu. Omni Slash bounces twice. Arrow gonna connect on 747 as well. He's in trouble, and he gets dropped under the stun duration. Ritsu just gonna snag a bounty rune and make it home. As Stanking, again, finding some time mid lane. And Snaking finding some time bot lane. So the 2 kings surviving for VCJ Storm. And the rest of the crew taking a spill top. Flea hanging around here. Ryu senses something's up, but he'll roll over to safety. Meanwhile, save does go down bot lane. It's going to be a solo kill, it seems, for Snake King's Sand King, who does expend the epicenter for it. But why not at this juncture in the game? Gets his level 7 as well.
So up top over here, that was like one of the most bizarre ganks I've seen. Snaking TP's top as well. I think he's dead. I'm sure he's dead, right?
Detection is not present.
Alright, noobs by detection, please. Anyway, so that was like a really bizarre gank. So you could tell that VGJ Storm, they wanted to make something happen. They rotated the Storm in, the Earth Spirit had the Life Stealer infested in him, and then you can just see that the Earth Spirit kind of didn't know what to do there. Oh, Snaking's dead for sure now, right?
Boulder Smash flies through. It's going to connect on the Doom. Moonlight Shadow is there, and now the Earth Spirit, rendered blind, must turn and run. But, hey, Doom.
Classic, just walk away.
Yeah, Doom is not the greatest spell. It used to be easy solo kill for Doom every time he hits 6, but doesn't do all that much damage anymore, so if you can't follow it up with at least one spell, a lot more difficult to net a kill. Scan for the Dire side did connect here bottom lane briefly. Perhaps they're thinking BP TP'd out. Stanking gonna fly over the trees and look to see if he can't find an enemy. For now, save.
BGJ, oh shit. BGJ Storm, they're thinking like, how do we actually make space for this Storm to farm? Because the enemy team is configured to keep running at you. You know, you got the Juggernaut, you got the Bounty Hunter, you got the Doom. These three heroes, they want to take as many objectives early on in the game as possible. So you see they're like posturing 3 heroes in the bottom lane. Ryoya's just farming the jungle while Lifestealer and Wyvern they put some pressure on this bottom tower. But you know, I can't say like VGJ Storm are in panic mode right now, but they definitely feel like
Arrow.
They probably feel like they have to keep farming on their Storm in order to come back to this game. Storm doesn't have a game until he has that first item, which looks to be a Bloodstone first. So no Kaya first on him.
Thank you, 747. I appreciate your real normal build. Top lane, Ryu gonna dive and run at Flea, at least force him out of the lane as they begin to put work into this tier 2. In the meantime, though, the tier 1 taken out by Ritsu top lane, and he is continuing to shove forward on that bottom side of the map. Snaking now, closing the distance on Ryu, but doesn't have any support inbound immediately. Does have his Earth Spirit, or his Wyvern, excuse me, up top near the Jugger, who will opt to Blade Fury TP out, and bot lane, they've amassed a defense here for the blue Pikachu side. 747 TP's back to mid, where the source of all the trauma in the early game occurred.
Yeah, someone on VGJ Storm is calling for them to sort of slow down their gameplay right now while they pick up the next couple of items. They need that blink on Sanking, and then they need a couple more items on Lifestealer. Talking about Lifestealer, arrow it up.
I'll roll through. This just may put Flea in danger too, but they get the rage off. Armlet is there, and they turn onto the Mirana. That's a huge kill. Even if Ritsu goes down, he's toggling though. Oh, they will have the Blade Fury. Ice Path will not connect, and he makes them work for it as Snake King now going to rotate through with the Epicenter. The Bounty Hunter going to end up dropping. Magnetize is there onto the Jakiro. They have some vision of him with this Dire Observer Ward as well, but just not healthy enough any longer on Snake King to continue to pursue. However, they do turn the fight nicely. They get the Mirana as Ritsu almost
side of the map.
And yeah, he's going to be doomed up. Ticking down here. So across the map, blue Pikachu. Can't say they're utterly disappointed, but a nice turn bottom lane by Ritsu to at least take out the highest value hero before he ends up dropping.
So the good thing for VGJ Storm is they haven't lost this mid tower yet. Blue Pikachu, they want to take this, but I'm not sure if they can.
Glyph is not available for the Dire side. We setting up perhaps to mount the defense, at least for a denial attempt. Maybe looking
classic VGJ Storm, no one wants to defend it.
And denial will not be there. Now a zip forward onto the hero, but there's 4 heroes waiting for 747, and he has to use his entire mana pool off the base to make it back. Ryu still pressing forward, misses the Thunderclap, however. Overload charge is there, and the Winter's Curse him up. He's not taking all that much damage. Dust is there, and now a 3-man burrow into the 2-man Static Remnant. Storm looking for more on save, and he will get the kill onto the Jakiro. Meanwhile, they will be able to take out the Wyvern. Now a leap forward from the Mirana, gets the arrow and the Storm kill. Flea, he's turned north to run, but a few more swipes of the claws of Ritsu take out the Juggernaut. And they do end up losing the Storm again, but VGJ Storm overall seems to be for the greater good, as Ritsu coming in with Snake King to clean house in that mid lane, taking a 4-for-2.
Yeah, super good exchange there. I think they definitely wanted to defend that tower, but it just didn't seem like VGJ Storm were ready for that tower to drop that quickly, but you know, instead they get 4 kills, they trade 2. I think Stanking could have lived there if he got his Cold Embrace off, but the Infernal Blade canceled him from, prevented him from casting it. So I think pretty much this entire game revolves around the Storm, to be honest. It's like, if the Storm gets farmed, I think it's an easy win for VGJ Storm, but you know, Blue Pikachu, they're going to continue to put pressure on the Storm, because the Storm is effectively the win condition for VGJ Storm, right? They can't actually high ground unless the Storm is in a position to actually fight.
Snaking
so,
bottom, looking for the Juggernaut here. Infested up as well, gets right-clicked. We'll get the burrow off, and now they're going to jump forward. He doesn't spin immediately as he sees the Sand King, and that is going to seal his fate, essentially. Winter's Curse goes out mid, and with the Splinter Blast, they'll get the kill on the Bounty Hunter. Now the Jakiro in trouble, turns for a Dual Breath, gets Boulder smashed up, couple more right-clicks with the Magnetize. Splinter Blast is there, double kill for the always OP Winter Wyvern, as Crit smiles from the stands. TP up top lane by Stanking, going to look to commit some of that wave clear that the Wyvern's so well known for. And 747 and Snaking getting to work mid lane on the tower. Ryu gonna rotate through. Down south, there is the Earth Spirit. And TP's inbound now from the entirety of the Radiant lineup, it seems. So VGJ Storm with a successful extraction from the mid lane.
quite a nice escape from VGJ Storm. I think they don't really want to fight right now. They're going to look for like tower pressure and pick
oh
off,
no. 747 once again going to get clipped with the arrow. Shuriken going to bounce through, and he's taking a lot of damage from the Jugger. He's forced to zip all the way to the east and not within Omni Slash range. He will be able to make it out. Flea might not be so lucky as the Star Storm finishes him off, and now they look for Snaking, find him with the Ice Path. He'll get the Burrow off to dodge the Dual Breath, but there is track move speed here. He'll take the Bounty Rune, because why the hell not at this point. 4 seconds until he's got a Burrow up. Does have a Sandstorm, but can't really disjoint much with the track on him. Turns for the 2-man Burrow. Ritsu gonna fly through, looking for the kill on Ryu, but he gets doomed up. Epicenter pretty much gonna be dodged by BP, but much like the last Doom, seems like Ritsu will just be able to walk it off. Storm finding some space in the mid lane, and the mid lane tower pretty low as well. Top lane continuing pursuit. Doom a little bit deep behind enemy lines. Rage, open wounds is going to be there from Ritsu. Couple more right clicks. They'll finish off the Doom. Now the Jakiro in trouble, and not what you want to be giving up at this point in the game. Blue Pikachu, a tier 1 mid, going the way of the Storm. Actually, 747 unable to secure the last hit, but Ritsu also picking up a double kill on the Lifestealer at the tail end of that skirmish.
Yeah, so Ritsu finishes up his Desolator, and I feel like everything in the next couple of minutes is going to be revolving around the Roshan area of the map for VGJ Storm, just because, you know, they take Roshan super quickly, and that age is going to be super important for the Storm Spirit. And they infest up Snaking, so Snaking doesn't have a blink yet. He's about 500 gold away, but they're going to go for a kill in the top lane. I feel like 747 is just kind of baiting the enemy team into him at this point, but Blue Pikachu, they're not really going to bite. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Sand King.
Tracked up. And 19 seconds on the TP, so he can't cold embrace himself, and will make it a little bit difficult. So BP playing with their food before they'll eat it. But they'll get the Wyvern in the end. Now Snake King looking for an initiation here. He finds the Burrow Strike. They get the Dust Off. Ice Path will be there momentarily, but a beautiful Boulder Smash through 2 from Flea is going to secure the first kill. That's going to be on the Doom. Now up on the high ground with the Moonlight Shadow for save. He's trying to make it away. Track move speed does allow him to start running. Gets the Magic Wand off, but one last swipe. But the arrow, though, it's going to be full duration on Ritsu. He's in trouble. He'll end up falling. It is a big commitment, though, from Blue Pikachu, as 747 continues to just AFK farm on the other side of the map. Snake King has a Sandstorm and a Burrow. Gonna Burrow up to the high ground and tries to get the Urn off. TP in. Nice Winter's Curse placement. They'll get the Shrine off as well. They have an Epicenter on the Sand King, who's not necessarily all that healthy. Arrow gonna fly through, and now 747 looking to join the fray. Snake King trying to find an opening here. And Sip Ward from the Storm Spirit gets the pull off, needs to kill off the Healing Ward, will be able to do so. Marana in a little bit of trouble here. Will cop a Remnant to the face. Snake King doesn't have a Burrow for another 5 seconds. As Manta pop by the Marana, almost out of mana is 747. He has to run over to the east. He's going to get doomed up. Now the Omni Slash on the west side going to be dodged as Sandstorm comes out by Snake King. Cold Embrace will be there as well. Meanwhile, 747 does end up going down. Boulder Smash going to stop the TP. They do get the Juggernaut. And a respawn from the Storm Spirit, who's TPing in towards the mid lane. Snake King pressing for more, looking to find the opening on the Jakiro, is unable to do so. So a bit of a chaotic engagement there mid lane. They do have the blink now on Sand King though.
Might look for this Doom, or maybe he's just gonna cut the wave. Really nice fight from VGJ Storm there. I mean, it's unfortunate. It feels like Storm's just getting auto-doomed every fight, so not much you can do about that. But definitely, I think VGJ Storm, they're in the winning position now, not only because they're 3k net worth ahead, but I just feel like, you know, their lineup is a lot easier to execute than Blue Pikachu. So, you know, now I think VGJ Storm, they're going to look for a pickoff, and then they're going to go for Roche and try to get a tier 3.
Regeneration.
Yeah, Blue Pikachu looks like they tried to press their advantage fairly hard throughout the game. We've seen a lot of them fighting recently, and I mean, Juggernaut has 64 CS here, 20 minutes into the game, so you see him actually quite a bit behind. You mentioned, you know, Storm having a brutal time as far as deaths go, but he spent a lot of time by his lonesome on the other side of the map. Does have the most CS in the game at 140, so still relevant here.
Making a ton of space for him.
Ice Path does connect onto 2, but what follow-up do they have? Arrow will hit onto Flea. Tracked up is the Ritsu Lifestealer, but Cold Embrace will be there for the Earth Spirit. Now Ritsu raging up, gonna purge off that track, and ECJ looks like they'll be just fine. Again, Storm on the other side of the map, doing a little bit of farming. Moonlight Shadow gonna drop here, and Stanking under the cover of a sentry. Does see the Mirana. Can't really get off a good Winter's Curse just yet. Arrow gonna fly through and find him. Epicenter though, channeling up, jump forward, and the Burrow Strike will find the Bounty Hunter. They just don't have enough damage just yet. Dust coming through though, and with Flea, Earth Spirit, they will find the Bounty Hunter. They lose the Wyvern almost simultaneously. Bot lane though, Storm Spirit, it is nighttime. In the shadows, lurking. And now looking to find the Doom. Gets the Static Remnant off. It will pop, so he knows the Doom is nearby. Sandstorm is there as well. And Ryu trying to make it over to the east. Continuing to just channel this Shadow Amulet. But this is just seems like it'll delay the inevitable. He'll get pulled back into his eventual death. And unfortunately for 747, Snake King does pick up the kill there. Still though, nice catch by him.
Ryu really loves that Shadow Amulet. He did something like that with Tiny last game as well. You see VGJ Storm, they're just starting to take ahead, or pull ahead a lot further in net worth. Just because their heroes are a lot better at farming, and you know, they actually are farming, whereas Blue Pikachu, I feel like they're really stressed out to keep going for these kills just because, you know, they have the Bounty Hunter. They probably feel like they lose the late game, and so their only option, similar to the last game, is just to keep running at them. But VGJ Storm, it feels like they're also prepared for that kind of gameplay because they're going for pickoffs over the map. They're prepared for the blue movements from Blue Pikachu as well.
Yeah, Blue Pikachu was able to eliminate this tier 2 in the top lane, but feels as if VGJ have abandoned that sector of the map long ago, spending most of their time mid and bottom. And now Infest up, Snaking. Drums earn blink, now zip forward, pull in, and they'll have the Burrow Strike to follow here. There should be a dead Doom by all means, and they won't even complete the TP in towards the bottom lane before he falls. So just as their tier 2 goes down top lane, immediate response bottom, and Stanking with a timely sentry drop is going to know he's being pursued here. Will be able to dodge out on the arrow as well. Snaking, no detection on his person, so they are just going to try and play around this last sentry that Stan King dropped. Ritsu working on an AC, has a couple of components of it already with the plate mail and the hyperstone, so hitting like a truck.
I love how the Lifestealer item build hasn't changed for like 10 years.
It's true, it's just whenever S and Y is in there you might mix it in, but other than that,
it is a halberd, but like you don't armlet, Desolator, phase boots, and then like whatever, right? And like right now it's AC, but like it could be a halberd or SNY as well.
Storm being stalked, gonna make the zip over to the west. They try to find the Mirana, will be just shy of getting the Burrow off.
What have we here?
And hanging around the BH, he's gonna do so undetected, at least for now.
You see VGJ Storm, they're posturing around the Roshan area of the map. They really want to control this, right? Because it's super important for Storm. And VGJ Storm they're ahead, and similar to what I said last game, when VGJ Storm, when they feel like they have an advantage and they can press it, they will do it. And then
Jump forward. Burrow is going to be there, and well, the Bleep does get away from Flea for the Mirana. Now they come through, Doom up the Wyvern, but the Doom, he's far too forward, and they can't be followed up by his unit. And he will end up dropping. Track, though, from the backside. They get the Burrow off onto the Bounty. He can't Shuriken toss up the Wyvern. Nice denial from Ritsu, but it'll mean that he pretty much soaks this Omni Slash all by his lonesome. Now they're looking to chase him down. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Storm's still getting to work and does end up killing off the Bounty Hunter. Flea kind of caught out in no man's land here, but the Illusions won't find him. So 2 for 1 going the way of Avicii Storm, and they get the denial as well. Ryu perhaps eyes a little wide there in the mid lane as he felt they could counter initiate fully, but really all that happened was he got the Doom off and they didn't have enough follow-up. You mentioned the lack of catch really seemed to rear its ugly head here in the last few Dooms. Now zip forward, Boulder Smash will connect through too, and a dodge of the Ice Path from Ryo, and now the Burrow Strike coming through. Mirana in trouble, she'll die to the Remnant, and a zip up to the high ground will secure the Jakiro's death as well. Healing Ward is going to be popped out, zip forward, they'll take that out with ease. Infested up is the Storm Spirit, jumping forward, looking for the Juggernaut, who's got nothing. He does have the mech though from the Bounty Hunter, not sure if that even connected on the Jug, to be honest. Ritsu going to rage up though and finish him off, and we'll be able to make it out rather unscathed. So things falling apart quickly once again near the pit for Blue Pikachu, feeling pressured to take that Roshan fight and not in full numbers, and they get punished really quickly by 747 Storm.
They probably just feel like, when Storm gets this Aegis, then the game becomes much more difficult for them to fight. And at the same time, VGJ Storm, they went mid, they smoked mid specifically because they wanted to secure this Roshan. And so with this Aegis on Storm, it puts VGJ's in a position to try and maybe end the game, or maybe just get a tier 3 off of it. Actually, during that first engagement when the Sand King and the Lifestealer went on Mirana, I think Flea screwed up. He could have silenced the Mirana, but his roll trajectory made it so that the silence didn't actually hit the Mirana. Because normally when you do that combo, you roll towards the target and then you pull the stone as you're rolling in. Thinking goodbye.
Oh, he actually disjoints the net. Does get tracked up. Shots will fly through. Now the Winter's Curse, though, is going to catch the Doom. He'll take a lot of damage from his Juggernaut. Arctic Burn going to follow it up. Healing Ward popped out there. TP's coming in from the Storm Spirit. However, he does not have the Lifestealer infested inside, so just going to secure the survival of his supports. Meanwhile, Flea has a gem on him, pressing forward, and they will get the pull onto the BH, and it is an easy prize to find on the back end of that.
Ritsu's actually picking up a Blink, or he has a Blink queued up, which is a little bit interesting. Has his AC completed on the courier coming to him. Ritsu's actually pretty rich.
Jump forward, gets the silence off bottom lane. Manta not popped just yet. Burrow Strike coming through, rolling boulders there. Zip forward, he gets real low. Ice Path will keep him alive for now. Epicenter channeled though, and up to the high ground they'll go, getting 2 kills, both for Snake King. Doom is going to come out after the complement of spells was used by the Sand King, so really not going to prove all that effective. Cold Embrace, in fact, keeping Snake King alive, and 4 heroes have taken a spill now for Blue Pikachu, if you include that early death on the BH. They are trying to commit some split push top lane, but in the meantime...
Yeah, that fight was brought to you by Kaya. That Storm wouldn't have been able to get that many spells off without it.
You make a valid point, but I don't want you to make. Arrow caught once again by 747. He's going to get Shadow Amuleted up, likely by his Wyvern, and it is. And now he'll zip forward for more. Does feel more than confident with the Aegis in hand. Winter's Curse going to fly there. It's a Jakiro right-clicking, so really not all that much, but holds him in place for the time being. Ritsu forced to back out as he's out of mana here. Is not in possession of an Aegis or a Chi. He's going to get Cold Embrace, though. Boulder Smash will keep the Juggernaut back for now. He's got an Omni Slash available if he wants to use it, but it looks like they'll be able to extricate themselves from any further risk here in the mid lane as they do get the melee racks. 29 minutes in. Top lane, the Mirana, she gets about 75% of that health taken out from the tier 3, but doesn't leave Shrines vulnerable, so nothing major to write home about as far as split push.
To write home about. Orchid completed on Storm, and Lifestealer has a Basher. Didn't actually end up picking up that Blink as his first item, or next immediate item. And so, you know, the VGJ Storm, they're in a really comfortable position right now. 16k net worth ahead. The only way BP come back into this game is if they continue, or if they go for pickoffs with Track. But you know, it's not easy for BP to go for kills. They don't have any initiation. The Doom is the only way they deal with this the Storm, but I feel like the Storm is tanky enough that, you know, his team can actually back him up if he gets doomed. You got the Cold Embrace. You have a huge amount of counter initiation coming from the Earth Spirit and the Sand King, and you know, Ritsu's farmed enough to pretty much fight the entire Blue Pikachu team. So Blue Pikachu, they have to keep their lanes up. You have to make sure they don't lose another Rax, but at the same time, they have to keep looking for pickoffs when VGJ Storm are split up.
Just to further bolster your point of how good a Storm game this was, 9 deaths on Ryoya. Despite that, second highest most farmed hero on the map, highest level by a wide margin. And now jump forward from Staking, finds the burrow. They'll instantly shred the Jakiro. Looking for more here. Winter's Curse is going to land solely onto the Juggernaut, and they won't be doing much damage to Mirana. But they'll silence him off the back of it. He gets the Omni Slash off. Zip away, though, from the Storm Pit and back in as he does have the Aegis. Juggernaut limping back to the fountain, and Splinter Blast will connect on the Doom. They're chasing him down, and the jump forward from Flea will secure the kill. Now Ryoya looking for more. They don't get much done with the Epicenter, but it's a, you know, intimidation shot. As still, they haven't really beaten into these structures yet. Two-man Burrow, though, is going to find the opening they need, and they'll get a couple kills off of it. Juggernaut in trouble now, zipping forward. Right-click up the hill will land, and only one buyback available. It's the Miranas. She's spent it. And this will mean a second lane of racks at minimum for VGJ. In fact, Ryu, for his squad, will throw the towel in as in under 55 minutes total, VGJ going to take this series 2-0.
I mean, if Sumeo's Storm at DAC 2015 taught us anything, you know, when it's a good Storm game, it's a good Storm game. And you know, as long as Ryoya kept his farm up, which he did, then he was always in a position to sort of come back into this game. As soon as he got that Bloodstone, his team was willing to fight with him, and then off of that, you know, they just kept fighting and snowballing until they got this this victory.
Yeah, he was able to keep up pretty admirably if you look at the graph. So 747 was on the Storm. Pretty much middle of the pack the entire game as far as net worth goes, and then see him take off a little bit later. So did do a pretty decent job there around that level 5 mark, retreating to the jungle. And as you mentioned, perhaps more importantly, a lot of space created by the remainder of his unit. So guys, VGJ, they're going to take a 2-0 victory in this one. Again, they're going to move on to face, in the semifinals of this qualifier, the winner of IDC MMR versus Optic Gaming. So already on paper, a lot of salt in that matchup. That's going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then will be followed up by Immortals versus CES as well. Happening tomorrow. So stick around, guys. Follow Beyond the Summit on Twitter. Follow the channels as well, Beyond the Summit 2, to continue seeing some of this MDL action. Till then, Franzi, any last words for this series for the fans?
No, not really. Thanks for watching. That was a fun series to watch.
Appreciate it, guys. If you enjoyed the cast, you can follow myself over on Twitter at MRP Dota, see when I go live. And similarly, for my lovely and insightful co-caster, you can follow him at Hello Franz. It's on the splash screen. Till then, hope you guys enjoyed. MRP Franzi BTS signing out for this one. Congrats, VGJ.